Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome to an amazing chess event that started today. Welcome to the We Are Chess Masters in 2023. So the tournament is held in Düsseldorf in Germany and it's a one round robin of classical time format chess. 10 players are battling it out in 9 epic rounds, probably because here we'll see again beautiful tacticians, really the most aggressive players, and we'll see also the usual suspects, really the strongest grandmasters of these days, like Levin, Aronian, Vasily, so young Krzysztof Duda, Anish Giri is playing here, so Jan Nepomniachtchi is also playing, but we'll see also the young prodigies that are the rising stars. We'll see also here Nodirbek Abdulsatorov, Vincent Keimer, Ramesh Babu Pragrananda, Gukesh is playing here, very wild stuff. Andrei Sipenko is also playing, a great tactician, so it will be an incredible tournament. Unfortunately for us, Magnus is not playing. If you have followed maybe now recently some other YouTube chess channels, then you see that Magnus Carlsen is having a great time. He's partying with the chess pros. Although I miss him here in this event, but I really love to see Magnus Carlsen happy, because it seems to me that he's quite happy with the chess pros in Canada. He's playing, of course, many chess games, but he seems really relaxed, and of course we wish him all of the best. Unfortunately, he's not, as I said here, but still I think this will be an epic, really a beautiful chess event, because in the round one already wild things happened. I'm not going to cover the game, but please check out also the game between Jan Nepomniachtchi against Nodirbek Abdulsatorov, where Nodirbek really dared to play the Benko gambit against Jan Nepomniachtchi. Already surprising element in the round one. So please check out the game. But we're starting now the round with another beautiful, sharp tactical gameplay by Vasily So against young Krzysztof Duda. In my opinion, this was the game of the day, with a spectacular opening trap in an early stage of the game. So be prepared. Maybe you can learn this kind of a trap. Maybe someone will fall for this, because it's quite spectacular how even grandmasters can lose the game in an early stage of the game. So be prepared. This is simply beautiful chess theory. So let's check out now the game. Wesley So with the white pieces opened with the move knight to f3. Young Krzysztof Duda, our response was d5. We have now the move g3, and Vasily goes into the king's Indian attack. And I think we'll see now more and more this attractive games in this chess event, because as I said, there's no Magnus Carlsen in the event, and there is an expression in Croatia that we say when there's no wolf then the chicken around the show. And I think we'll see more and more spectacular games, because I think many players want to win this chess event, want to see who is actually maybe even the best player in the world, where there's no Magnus Carlsen. Now you see Vasily plays already quite a spectacular and aggressive method to beautiful king's Indian attack. So knight to f6, bishop to g2. We have now the move c5. We have kingside casting, knight to c6, and now Vasily breaks the position in the center of the board. Also, in some occasions, the d5 could be a vulnerable square in the continuation of the game. Many times the d5 is also an isolated pawn in the continuation of the game. Not immediately, because there's still the e pawn that can protect your pawn on d5, but so far already an aggressive method by Vasily. After move e6, Vasily continues now the pressure with the move c4. After d takes c4, now queen to a4, continuing the pressure around the square c6, and also here there are some tensions. Knight to e5, knight to d4 could happen, continuing the pressure around the knight on c6. So c takes d4 would not be good here for black. Then, of course, knight takes d4 can happen, and it leads into quite spectacular and complicated line that has been played many times in chess history. Black is not losing the game immediately, but could have, I think, an unpleasant game. Now, after queen to c6, white picks up now the knight. After bishop to c6, black needs now to cover, and now we play rook to d1. As I said, bishop to c6, we play queen takes c6 with a check. After b takes c6, queen to rook takes the queen on d4, and okay, this is maybe playable for black, but I don't like this position. After something like c5, rook to c4, you're always left with an isolated pawn here. You have some tactical problems. Bishop to e3 could happen, b3, maybe something like knight to a3, rook to c1, continuing simply the pressure around the square c5. So as I said, maybe you can survive this, but probably black doesn't want to have this kind of position, wants to have more of this opening. So that's why after move queen to a4, bishop to d7 was played by young Krzysztof Duda. Queen takes c4, c takes d4, and after knight to d4, you see we have still this tension in the center of the board, but black didn't make mistakes so far. So Black is still having also great activity, and the queen, we have to say it by white, is a little bit endangered. So in the next couple of moves, of course, the queen will be attacked by some other minor piece activity. So in the continuation, you see now rook to c8, endangering the queen indirectly, of course, but if the c file opens, then the queen can be really endangered here on the c file. So after move knight to c3, we have knight takes d4, queen to d4, and after bishop to c5, we have now queen to h4, and you see now Vasily so continues the pressure with ideas of bishop to g5. Also bishop takes b7 is an opportunity. So already great attacking chances, but only for white. I think black has now to survive this position. Black has now to play the best defensive moves, and here Jan plays maybe a tiny little inaccuracy already. Bishop to c6 seems like a logical move. You're trading off this bishops off the board. You don't want to tolerate, of course, this beautiful piece activity of white, but maybe a better way to go is even to allow your opponent to pick up the pawn on b7, because okay, after bishop to b7, we play rook to b8. You have to retreat now, and we play just h6. We're not allowing some ideas of bishop to g5, getting the pin. And I think, although white is up a pawn, white would have a tough time to develop the dark square bishop somewhere. Even if you play b3 and then you want to play the move with the dark square bishop, then you're vulnerable a little bit on dark square. So it's quite unpleasant to play this kind of a game. So as I said, maybe this would be the way they go, or maybe even immediately castling. Pardon me, maybe with the move b6 you can also get out of this tactical mess, but then you risk maybe something like bishop to g5. Still you can castle, maybe a rook to d1 could happen. So as I said, but with bishop to e7, I think again you could survive this attack, and this could be a playable position also for black. But after move queen to h4, we have said bishop to c6 was played by Nxd4 Bd7. Still nothing went wrong so far. Still also this position is playable, but now from rook to d1, now comes actually the critical moment of the game, and now comes the dirty opening trap that here Vasily so has prepared against Nxd4 Bd7. The only move, the best move here is actually by black, the move queen to a5. And this move is very important because you have to cover the g5 square. In the beginning, it doesn't seem so important that you cover the g5, because probably you're asking yourself the question, what does the g5 square has to anything to do with this particular position? But actually, the main threat in this position is this idea, bishop to h6. And look at this. If if black castles, then we have always this one, bishop takes g7, and here after king to g7 that black could play, we have always this one, queen to g5, and we pick up also the knight on f6. So that's now the threat. But with the move queen to a5, you are covering the g5 square. Of course, you don't have to pick up the bishop immediately. You just sacrifice the bishop. Bishop takes f2. After king to f2, now you play king to g7, and you see how important it was to play the queen to a5 move in the first place. Now there is simply no check. White lost the dark square bishop, black also lost the dark square bishop, but this is actually a playable position now for both sides. What Nxd4 Bd7 played, queen to b6 he played, and this was now a huge mistake. Maybe also instead of move queen to b6, queen to e7 is working, but still I don't like this position for black. Bishop to g5 is going to happen. Maybe bishop takes c6, knight to e4, continuing simply the pressure on against the knight on f6. Even h6, for instance, after bishop to g5 is not working, because we don't have to step back. We can stay here with the bishop, because there's also the tension on the h file. So we can survive this position. We just trade off more pieces, and as I said, knight to e4 is still the serious threat here against the knight on f6. So really too much opportunity. So actually I think you have to play a queen to b6, queen to a5 instead of queen to b6. That's the only move that's helping out here black in the continuation of the game. But unfortunately here Nxd4 Bd7 played now move queen to b6, and now Vasily so plays a beautiful attack, bishop to c6, releasing now the pressure. Whatever you do, rook to c6 was Nxd4 Bd7's continuation. Even if you play queen to c6, it doesn't matter. Again with the same plan, bishop to g5, you have to maybe step back with the knight. We now would pick up the pieces. Now look at this, rook to c1 is going to happen. There's simply too much pressure. You have the isolated pawn, you have the tension on the c file, you have the king in the center of the board. You could maybe try queen to b6, trying some kind of attack against the pawn on f2, but look at this, we can even play this one, bishop to e3. Now we have to castle. There are many opportunities for white, but this is, I think, a one-way ticket here simply in white's favor. So you see after move rook to c6 that young Kg2 Bc5 instead of queen to c6, here Vasily plays now the stunning bishop takes h6, and this was the actual threat. That was the problem, as we said. If the queen would be on a5, then the queen is controlling g5. Now there's simply no good defense. For instance, if you play g takes h6, then we play simply queen to f6. Again, you have this tempo against the rook. The d file is taken, a knight is coming into the game. Even if you, for instance, castle after bishop to h6, even if you castle, then we have this tactic, as we said, bishop to g7, king to g7, and now after queen to g5, you have to step back. Now another check comes, you have to again play with the king, and look at this, knight to e4, knight to g5, the pawn on h7 is weak, so it's game over, I think, here for black. So from bishop to h6, young Kg2 Bc5 fell for this trap, and he has to now play bishop to f8. He has to retreat with the bishop, and the king is now stuck in the center. The game is basically over. We are now in move 15, and the game is almost over here for young Kg2 Bc5. Okay, still maybe some of us would still play this position, still many of us would maybe even survive this position, but in top grandmaster level, you see now how Wesley will play the game. He simply continues with rook to d3, knight to d5, we have knight takes d5. Even if you play, instead of this move knight to d5, even if you play e5, if you try maybe somehow to get the rook into the game, look at this, bishop to e3 is coming, you pick up this one, rook to b1, you maybe play rook to a3, queen takes a3, this rook is coming into the game. So the activity that white is here is simply too much to handle. The bishop is paralyzed, the rook is out of game, simply, as I said, one-way ticket here for white. So after move rook to d3, here Wesley got challenged with the move knight to d5. He picked up now simply the knight after e takes d5, bishop to e3. Now again Duda took the pawn on b2, but it doesn't matter. Again, it helps out just white to activate the pieces. In the continuation, we have now queen to b4. Of course, you cannot play queen to e2, get rook to e3. You lose the queen, so that's why queen to b4 has to be played here by young Kg2 Bc5, and now rook to b3, continuing the pressure against the queen. Queen to e7 has to be played. We have queen to e7. If you play now bishop to e7, rook takes b7, look at this, the whole position is falling apart. You have also some back rank problems, this pawn is weak, so again too many weaknesses. So that's why after move queen to e7, here young took with the king, but again the rook is coming in a beautiful way into the game. King to e6, now rook to b8 paralyzes now the bishop, and as I said, this bishop is staying there forever. There's simply nothing that can be done. You cannot even play some ideas of g6, bishop to g7. You would love to do that, maybe compete on the 8th rank, but the bishop is too powerful. g6 is never now opportunity here for black. So in the continuation h5, we have rook to b1, really an easy game now for white, just including more pieces into the game, especially we want to get this other rook on the 7th rank. h4, Duda is trying to create some madness on the h file, but it doesn't matter. Here Vasily played a calm game, improved the position of the king, king to f3. After a couple of trades of pawns, he fixed the structure with the move e3. Everything is glued together, everything is compact. Rook to c2, rook to b5, king to g6, and now it's the very easy game now, even occupying the 8th rank. The bishop is paralyzed. Here Duda tried some ideas, of course, on the 2nd rank, which was a good choice, the only way maybe to survive this attack. But now again Vasily so kept it calm. After a couple of trades, he's now up a whole piece, and this is simply game over here for black. So after move rook to b7 was played, we have a6, rook to a8, getting the rook behind. Now rook to a2 was played, rook to a7, occupying again the 7th rank, so simply too much pressure. Here in the continuation, rook to h7, king to f3, rook to a5, rook to b6, rook to g5, and now king to g2. Maybe you don't play now the optimal moves, but you just play calm moves. You don't want to play something risky. Now Vasily, as I said, waiting here a little bit, and he wants to grab now this pawn. So whatever happens, of course, as we said, white is simply winning the game. So e4, we have rook to g4, we have king to f3, rook to g5, bishop to e3, attacking now the rook on g5. We have rook to e5, bishop to f4, we have rook to c5, and now after move e5, a beautiful move here by Vasily, opening up the 6th rank. And as I said, again, black needs now to make a reaction. Rook to h8, rook to a6, hitting now the pawn on a5, rook to d8, e takes f6, g takes f6, and now finally Vasily grabbed also this pawn, rook to c3, and after king to g4. In this position, actually, young Qxd4 resigned. So incredible, dirty really trap in the beginning. Let's go back. In this position, after rook to d1, you have to play queen to a5. Queen to b6 is not helping out. Many of us would play this move, hitting the pawn on f2. It doesn't matter because it's simply too slow. Bishop to c6, and as we said, bishop to h6. As we said, even if you make just a check, king to g2, and again we have this dirty tactics: g takes h6, queen to f6. The rook is hanging, the d file is occupied, the knight is coming into the game. Too much pressure, as I said, simply against the king. The king is now really paralyzed in the center of the board. So incredible game by Vasily. So Vasily was one of the winners of the round 1. So I think in this chess event we'll see more games like this, where many players are trying something out, or where they're trying at least to play attractive chess. We'll see also, as I said, please check out the game between Jan Nepomniachtchi and Nordebek Abdusatorov. The game was really spectacular. As I said, Nordebek pulled off, dared to play the Benko Gambit. So in my opinion, this will be an epic chess event for us to follow. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas of the King's Indian attack for sure. If you want to see more Vasily games, more Magnus Carlsen games, check out our commented chess games. Here's the link of our whole playlist, and if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what to say, chess is the best, of course.